The question today is, can I switch tech jobs after a year and does it look bad to a potential employer? I think the best way I can answer this question is by going through how a hiring manager may be thinking about it, because it's not necessarily one size fits all. And then I'm going to explain my personal experience and the framework that I actually use myself when I'm in this situation. Okay, so what are the negatives of having only worked somewhere for one place? You may potentially look unreliable. You may look a little bit confused because why are you switching after only being there for a short period? There is a question of your skill set. If you can't hold a job, like why do you not seem to thrive and stay there? And then there is also the question of your soft skills in the sense of, can you integrate properly with teams if you keep moving? These are all valid concerns, but they are flexible to narrative, which I'm going to show in a second. That being said, some companies have a very specific culture and switching frequently might just be a hard no for them. Examples could be very mission-led startups, like these like robotic companies that try to build like machines that do certain things, and for them they kind of just want someone that doesn't really care about money or career. They just want to get their head down and focus on this very particular problem. If you're thinking about switching jobs within a year, the likelihood is you don't align with them, and that's perfectly fine. I strongly advise you don't try and get a job or mislead a hiring manager to put you in a job where culturally you're not in alignment. I know culture seems like a little bit of a washy term, but fundamentally it's down to compatibility and whether you're actually going to gel properly with the team, and it's very important to not ignore. I think about this like a relationship. Someone might be great on paper, they're good looking, financially stable, they got a good family, but if you don't actually like them and you don't really get along and they do things that kind of just get on your nerves, it's going to create friction over time and there's just going to be problems. And I think it's the exact same way with the company culture. I don't think it's fair to you or the company to mislead, because you're just going to have problems down the line. In the same way, there's so many fish in the sea or people in the world, there's so many companies. And, remote work is incredibly popular now. You don't have to be limited, and as such, I think, apply for a job where culturally you don't think you fit, it's not for you, all these other things. I would never do it unless it's Google. If I got a friend who's like, hey man, I've been speaking to a girl, she's great, but I don't know if she's great for me. I'm like, all right, who is it? And he says Beyonce. My guy, there's worse. Like, it's all right, just get the trophy, put it in the trophy cabinet, and I'm back out there. As a short-term solution, if you've got a great opportunity ahead of you, I'd advise go for it. Culture disclaimer aside, when you go to an interview, they will most likely ask you this question. Well, everyone should ask you. It's probably more concerning if they don't ask you. Why did you leave the place you were at after such a short period of time? And this is very important for you because it is an opportunity to add context to your decision. For this, you need to be honest, but you also need to frame it right. I don't think there's a point in lying, but there's a lot of different ways you can explain why you're doing it that paint in a positive light. In theory, I think there's only two reasons at this point in your career why you leave a job. A, you don't like the job or the people, which is fair. Or B, you think you could do better. Equally fair. Both of these things you can make about the company you're hiring for, not necessarily yourself. And it makes you seem less like an opportunist. You're framing it in the way of, I want to help this company's mission because I think overall it will put me in a better place, and that's fantastic. As long as you start with them first, it completely changes the dynamic of switching after a short period of time between jobs. So this is the framework that I used, and just for a little bit extra context, like I've not really had a job for longer than 2 years apart from the startup that I worked at. The framework is, number one, narrative context. Your journey up until this point, a little bit of backstory about yourself, which is kind of just the scene setting, but helps for the next step. Each step builds on the next. Second, you list shortcomings of your current establishment and why you feel like you're stagnating. Now, this is really, really important to be impartial and you're not slagging off the team. That's the last thing you're trying to do. You're professionally understanding and analyzing why it's no longer beneficial for you to be there and why it doesn't align with whatever your core mission is, which goes conveniently into the next step. The next step is why you're making the change. This new company, what is it that they provide that the previous one didn't? And then for the last step is you outline your end goal. It doesn't need to, I'm going to mute that. For the last step, you outline your main goal. It doesn't need to be like 5 years down the line. It could just be what you want to do in the next year or so, but it kind of gives them a frame of reference because you started your journey, you've explained where you're at, where you're trying to go. And if you can add something at the end which shows where you're trying to get to, it's much clearer in their head for understanding the mission. And you know what, realistically, they might actually help you there because you might say a role that they are looking for, or they know that you're interested in growing and they will help you because it's beneficial to them. So the thing that makes it not seem unreliable really is the narrative and painting the picture of a journey, because if you worked at a place and you only worked there for 6 months or a year, and the thing that you learn about being there above other things is that you're not built for that place. How can anyone really fault that? And the concerns that I mentioned before, if there's a narrative and context behind it, they seem far less threatening. So unreliable, well, no, because you've actually explained your journey and what you're doing, and according to what your mission was and your goal, you're actually on track and you're doing that. It's not unreliable. It was disalignment at previous places. There is also the question of, can you integrate with teams? But honestly, they're kind of just going to assess your interpersonal skills when they meet you. It's more of a vibe check. You can't really be like, oh, I've worked with people for X years. They'll vibe and they'll see what they think. The places you choose to hire for are actually quite important as well, because the more notches you have on your CV, the more concrete a picture it paints. So for example, if this is one of your first jobs, you're leaving after a year, there's not too much context. The further you go though, you want to make sure that every job you get subsequently has some sort of direction. So whether it's going upwards or further into the industry, you don't want to look like you're going up and down and changing for the sake of changing. If you're going to a higher role, so if you go junior, mid, senior, that looks fantastic. You're trending upwards. Or you go through bigger companies, it looks ambitious and like there's some sort of goal and you've got a mission. Not to say that, if you've been sporadic about it, you won't get interviews. That's not what I'm saying. But do be aware that your history can start painting a picture for you. I would advise not changing for the sake of changing. I'm going to give an example of myself. After university, for 3 years, I just freelanced. I didn't make any money. Freelancing is hard, dude, or at least for me, I think I was focused so much on the technical skills that I thought I didn't have. I was trying to become a better developer, always working on that. And really, looking back, I just didn't know that I didn't know how to market or sell. So of course I wasn't getting contacts. Anyway, I originally thought I wanted freedom, but then realized after a bit, okay, freedom without money is kind of trash. So I decided, right, suck up your pride. I found an agency job through recruitment, which, by the way, if you're in tech, I would highly advise you go through recruiters because they are incentivized to get you work. They do take a cut of the money, but they take it from the company, so you don't actually lose anything. And you've literally got someone on your side who's going to try and push you because they directly benefit from placing you in a job. So highly recommend that you go through recruitment if you can, unless it's a specific company you're looking for. Google. So yeah, found an agency job through recruitment. Because I've been coding for a few years now, I aced the technical test, and then on my CV as well, I built some freelance projects. Some of them were not actually for clients. Some of them I just built websites and said they were for clients. You gotta do what you gotta do. 6 months later, a recruiter hit me up for a job, and he said it was for the UK's biggest e-com retailer, which of course I was interested in. Shortly after that, I had an interview with the company. The company was Pretty Little Thing, and in the interview they asked, why are you leaving your last job after 6 months? Now, obviously, Pretty Little Thing is gonna be cooler than where I was at. Like I said, UK's biggest e-com retailer. It was also that I was moving from a senior position, and it was also a 10k salary hike. So of course I'm going to be interested. But the way I framed it was, I joined the agency 6 months ago, and it has been great. The team has been lovely. Transport has been very easy to get to. The clients are interesting, and there's a lot of freedom. However, the problem I'm finding is they don't have enough work for me. It's a very small company, about 6 people. There's one other dev, and the other people are maybe like the manager, and it's not very technically large. It's often visual projects, so there's not too much technical demand for me, and I'm stagnating. I'm finishing work before the deadline, and I end up just being on my phone because they don't really have more work for me. And because it's such a small company, I don't see any room to progress my skills or actually grow. The thought of PLT excites me because it's an enterprise level system, which I currently don't get to work on at the moment. And the people that I work with as well, they're going to be industry veterans, which I don't have. So not only can I be around people to learn, I really get to stretch my legs and learn an enterprise system, which I'm very curious about. Ultimately, I want to become an engineering manager. And I know to do that, I need to work in bigger teams to see how bigger processes work. And I need to be in a higher pressured environment. And that's really what I want. I just want an opportunity to grow. So do you see how much better that sounds than just going, oh, yeah, after 6 months, it's kind of shit. I don't really want to, PLT is kind of cool. You guys are giving me 10K more. Like, very, very different. Obviously, everybody's situation is different, but you've got to figure out a way that you can explain your situation within a similar context. You might worry about leaving your current company thinking that it's a little bit bad mind, you're taking advantage. But fundamentally, you're just on your own mission. And in the same way they're on their own mission, they wouldn't hire you if they didn't need someone to do the work. It's not personal, it's just business. And this new company needs to see that you have your own mission and you didn't leave the last place because you are incompetent or unreliable. You left it because it no longer aligns with your mission. Nothing personal, it's just business. You're going somewhere and they're not going to help you get there. Closing notes, it's easy to get in your own head. You're going to be thinking, oh, what's the engineering manager going to think? All these different things. But bear in mind, they've already freed up the budget to pay you. They're at the loss. They need the talent. You're not going to them saying, hey, can you please free up money? They've already done it. They've allocated money and they want to give it to someone. They actually want to hire you. Your job is just to convince them they're not wasting their money. They want to believe it. Okay, so that was just my personal experience and the framework that I use, but I hope this was helpful. If you know someone that's maybe considering the switch, please send them this video so they can make a more informed decision. Thanks, guys.